opening song, and the words should be on the screens behind me, but it's in the Teal hymnal. It is hymn number 1059, May Your Life Be as a Song. Please rise in body or spirit and join us.
Good morning. My name is Petra, and I serve this congregation today as worship associate. I want to welcome everyone. We're so grateful you have joined us this morning. Our opening words today are "Teach Us to Look for You" by Father Austin Fleming. Spirit of the living God, turn our faces to the east to look for your presence. Turn our faces in any and every direction from which you draw near to us. Teach us to look for you in places we would not expect to find you. Teach us to find you in places so well known to us that we now fail to see you there. Help us to see you in every guest we entertain. Let the beauty of a rose, of any bloom, reveal your presence to us. Let every bird who wings across the sky above remind us of the freedom that is ours. Let every star in the heavens be a light in the darkness of our lonely nights. Never let us forget that you are love, and that those who abide in love abide in you. Teach us to look east, sweet mystery, and north and south and west, that we might find you in every place we look, including within ourselves. Amen. Our call to community this morning: we have, in order to build this community, we need love and connection, and that will lead to spiritual and ethical transformation. This is your community. We ask that you please be an active part of it by joining us in the following activities and events. Tonight at 6 p.m. is the Interfaith Coalition of Polk County's Thanksgiving worship service. Please come out to Christ the King for what is sure to be a meaningful time together with people of other faiths, but like minds. There is no program this Wednesday. The Hokori Zen Center is having their winter retreat this week. We'll be having a combined dinner, worship, Creative Matters, winter solstice celebration on Wednesday, December 18th. We'll have a big party. Thursday, December the 5th, we will be having the worship committee online at 5 o'clock. Please join us to share a story you would like to see presented as a worship service in January, when our Small Matters theme is the practice of story. The Zoom link can be found in the newsletter. We always want to thank Melissa and Jerry, who take care of our kids each week. If you can volunteer to help them in the classroom, behind the scenes, or as a religious exploration committee member, please let Melissa know. It's very important to have plenty of volunteers in our RE program. One-on-one is never a bad idea. Not never a bad idea? I think that works. The UUCL annual service auction is coming up on December 15th. We please check the newsletter for the link to list your auction items. Experiences like dinners or day trips are great ideas for classes to teach, but Dorothy wants to tell us about that, and we're gonna let her come up and do that. We get a couple.
2 weeks from today, after church, we have the auction, and it's our biggest auction, our biggest fundraiser, and we really need donations. So far, we only have 3 donations, so Ken will explain to you how to go online.
Okay, so you'd start with the church website, click on news and events, just think of that news, and then the 2024 auction. And it will bring up what has been donated, and there'll be a button there. If you want to donate something, you can enter it yourself.
Or they can mail it to you
Or that you can email it to me.
with a picture, yeah.
And my email address is in the directory.
And like we are donating a Hawaiian luau, and that's one of the things we're donating, but there are other things that somebody, yes, sir?
Are you flying us to Hawaii?
No. Smarty. Everybody likes a little.
This is virtualization, a virtual trip to Hawaii.
Put it in the website, put it on the auction list.
And we're gonna have bags that Judy made and purses that Judy made. We just need more donations, please. Okay, good job.
Now, some goods worth more than $25, they say they will sell at the auction. So not just services, but services are so much fun. Okay. I believe you actually have an order of service, thanks to Helen. Because most of you know that if I'm involved, we don't have an order of service. So what you'll find is it's in the insert, are the more events, and we also have our newsletter published on Mondays where you can find more events, and then, you know, Christmas is coming, so there's going to be lots of stuff. Our chalice lighting today is entitled In the Holy Presence by the almost Reverend Phoenix Bell Shelton Biggs. As we gather in this sacred moment, the Holy Spirit settles among her people. Here and now, in the holy presence, we kindle our sacred flame, calling to memory the pain and heartache we know all too well. Here and now, in the holy presence, we kindle our sacred flame, calling to remembrance our beloved community, all the beloved ancestors who join us from the heavens. May our kindled sacred flame be that of a constant reminder that we are created in the image of the most loving God who has the fiercest of love for each of her beloveds. As a product of her fierce love, may we know we are welcome here. There's no need for guilt, child, or burden to lay down as payment to be the recipient of fierce love, as you are worthy, whole, and sacred, just as you are. Donna, would you light our chalice for us, please? Perfect. Thank you. Our sacred flame is now ablaze. Settle, beloveds, for we are in the presence of the holy, surrounded by the warmth of familiarity in the sacred flame of our faith. Now, if you will all rise in body or spirit, we'll sing Spirit of Life. Sing and sign.
Compassion.
do you guys you want to come up and sit down or just? Anybody else? Young at heart, young in spirit? We will now have the message for all ages, is the point. And this is The Messiah is One of Us by Megan McKenna. Once upon a time, there was a wise abbot of a monastery who was the friend of an equally wise rabbi. This was in the old country long ago, when times were always hard. But just then, they were even worse. The abbot's community was dwindling, and the faith life of his monks was fearful, weak, and anxious. He went to his friend and wept. His friend, the rabbi, comforted him and said, "There's something you need to know, my brother. We have long known in the Jewish community that the Messiah is one of you." "What?" exclaimed the abbot. "The Messiah is one of us? How can this be?" But the rabbi insisted that it was so, and the abbot went back to the monastery, wondering and praying, comforted and excited. Once back in the monastery, he would pass by a monk and wonder if he was the one. Sitting in chapel, praying, he would hear a voice and look intently at a face and wonder, is he the one? The abbot had always been kind, but now began to treat all of his brothers with profound kindness and awe, ever deeper respect, even reverence. Soon everyone noticed. One of the other brothers came to him and asked him what had happened to him. After some coaxing, the abbot told him what the rabbi had said. Soon the other monk was looking at his brothers differently, with deeper respect and wondering. Word spread quickly, the Messiah is one of us. The monastery was suddenly full of life, worship, love, and grace. The prayer life was rich and passionate, devoted, and services were alive and vibrant. Soon, the surrounding villagers came to the services, listening and watching intently, and many joined the community of monks. After their novitiate, when they took their vows, they were told the mystery, the truth that their life was based upon, the source of their strength, the richness, and their life together. The Messiah is one of us. The monastery grew and expanded into house after house, and the monks grew in wisdom and grace before each other and in the eyes of God. And they say still that if you stumble across this place where there is life and hope and kindness and graciousness, that the secret is the same. The Messiah is one of us. So, what did we gain from that? Anybody want to tell me?
I feel better.
Thank you. He must be. Are you the
We're
Messiah?
all empowered a little,
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
more than we were.
The kids are always so much more responsive, aren't they? Oh, well. It's because they don't have all of our inhibitions. So you can go back. Do you want us to sing you back to your seats? Or you want to just stay up here? It's okay, whichever you want. Doesn't matter. All right. I wish I had written this on a tiny piece of paper. I feel it important to light the candle a lot. Spirit of life and love, as we light this candle, help us remember that nothing is quite as it appears. Instill in us the stimulus and the momentum to join in unity and repair any brokenness we encounter. Love is all we need, and it awaits our asking. At the end of the day, do others feel loved in your presence? This is the spiritual bottom line. That is a quote by Mason Kip, you think? M-A-S-I-N?
Sounds good.
That's how you'd pronounce it too? Our ritual of the sharing of joys, concerns, and sorrows embodies the belief that there is power in being together. This is a ritual that supports our healing and sustains us with love. In our Joys and Sorrows book, you are able to write any significant joy or sorrow occurring in your life that you would like for the congregation to know. That's it. Okay. We have a bunch of joy and one tiny little sadness. I had a wonderful time at Casey Musgrave's concert in Tampa. That's a big joy. Came home to find we lost a chicken. We received $5,000 from UUA Disaster Relief to pay for our tree removal. Thank you, Crystal. She let them know that we needed it. And this one says, Petra, you are a godsend. Thank you for stepping in for Heather. Our ritual of the sharing of joys, concerns, and sorrows embodies the belief that there is power in being together. I said that. But now you are invited to come forward for our ritual of joys and sorrows. Take whichever stone or stones feels right to you and drop it in the bowl, connecting to others and feeling the power of being together in this community.
Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy on me.
Petra, can you put in a stone for Heather, who is still in Texas with her family? And we don't have anyone on Zoom today, but for anyone who is joining us online on Facebook or YouTube live stream or who watches later, thank you. We appreciate you joining us today.
Here we gather, tucked back in this friendly neighborhood between the beautiful tall pines. We are a community of people who have arrived from many different paths, yet we seek a common goal, to bring more love to our hurting but beautiful world. As Unitarian Universalists, we aspire to reach this goal through our shared values, one of which is the value of generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. This we can only do together, and your monetary gifts are essential to supporting our endeavor. So our ushers will now pass the plate.
Good morning, everyone. Before we sing our next hymn, I would like to mention that in your insert, in your order of service, it says that there is a town hall meeting today after the service, but that was actually from a previous order of service, so there's no town hall meeting today. So please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 175, We Celebrate the Web of Life. You took my part out.
Yes.
That's okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is My name is Helen Dingus, and today I will be reading a sermon titled When God Had a Body, written in 2016 by the Reverend Gretchen Haley, the minister at Foothills Unitarian in Fort Collins, Colorado. And we don't usually do this. Normally, whoever is presenting has written their own service, but with Heather out of town and things being a little bit chaotic right now, this is what she chose for us to use for this service. So when I say I, that I is Reverend Gretchen. New Testament scholar and sometimes skeptic Bart Ehrman tells the story of one special person who lived about 2,000 years ago. Just before this person was born, a heavenly figure appeared to his mother, telling her that her son would be not just human, but also divine. His birth was surrounded by all sorts of supernatural signs, and as a child, he taught those who were much older than he about religious insights and ideas. This person went to town with his message, gathered around him disciples who witnessed his teachings, flawless character, and multiple miracles. At the end of his life, however, his enemies made up charges, and he was placed on trial before the Roman authorities and put to death. After he died, some claimed he had ascended bodily into heaven. Others said he appeared to them, that they had talked with and touched him. A number of followers spread the good news about this man, recounting what they had seen him say and do. Unfortunately, however, this news never made it much further than his own time, so it's unlikely you have ever heard of the Neo-Pythagorean teacher, pagan, and holy man known as Apollonius of Tyana, who is the special man that Ehrman describes. I start with this story because my plan for today is to go full on Jesus. For us to explore not just the story of Jesus as human, something we do with some degree of comfort as Unitarians, but less traditionally for us, also the story of Jesus as the embodiment of the infinite mystery that some call God. And I know that for some of us, this idea brings up some resistance, annoyance, and injury. And I understand. When I first started attending a Unitarian Universalist church, I told some friends with great passion that one of the best things about my new religion was that they barely ever said Jesus. Jesus had been used as a weapon against me, and my wounds were still pretty fresh. Over time, however, I have become even more passionate that we should no more allow a profound perversion of the story of Jesus, for example, any version that could be used as a weapon, to be represented as the truth, than we would allow the perversion of science to stand as the central truth about the earth or our climate or our place in this universe. Both of these, if left unopposed, are equally capable of destroying human life. And so we need to be just as willing to engage the Jesus story as we are any of our other sources for truth, especially when the perversion of the story of the Prince of Peace has never felt more pervasive or dangerous. Which is all to say, I hope that Apollonius of Tyana helps. Apollonius and the many other stories of the divine becoming human circulating around the first century remind us that there is something here that has captured the imagination of many different sorts of people for millennia in ways that may or may not be related to what we now call the Christian religion. And so my question is, why? What is it about this story of God as a person and the divine as flesh? What is it about this that speaks to people, that keeps speaking to people powerfully, resiliently? Many of us today feel liberated by the opposite, actually. If we engage with a concept of God at all, it's usually by way of saying, spirit of life, or infinite love, great mystery, or even simply the universe. No body, no being. But here we have this story that proclaims the eternal has been given form and gender and skin, a particular living, breathing existence. What liberation might be found here? What piece of the truth and what good news might this story offer us and our world? The good news, of course, starts with a baby, which is always good news, except not entirely, because babies are beautiful and awe-inspiring and smell really good, but also can be real jerks. They cry and don't use their words. They refuse to do their own laundry, and they never do the grocery shopping. They wake you up at all hours of the night and demand you feed them, change their diapers, or just hang out and pay attention to them. These human realities are some of the many reasons why scholar Cynthia Rigby describes the idea of God becoming one of us, as the song would have it, scandalous. How could something infinite be contained in something so profoundly limited? And how could the perfectly good and entirely powerful square with something so messy, selfish, dependent, and demanding? Also, it's actually wrong to say that it starts with a baby. It starts with a woman who grew that baby, which is to say, a woman who created God, formed God, a woman who was pregnant with God and who gave birth to God with all the mess and blood and curse words that come with labor and birth. And no one ever seems to talk about the fact that this God necessarily was a teenager, awkward and pimply, eager and even horny, scandalous. This is the mystery of the incarnation, and in the earliest days, no one thought to try to solve it. This paradox of God in a human body sought no explanation, no clarification, no resolution, no absolutely sinless life, no doctrine of the virgin birth. The hard lines of orthodoxy came later, along with the organizing, the power struggles, the boundaries of who's wrong, who's right, who's in, who's out. But before all of this, there was only the allure of this impossible possibility, that the eternal would know the mortal, and perhaps more importantly, that the mortal would know the eternal. That the two seeming opposites could fully coexist in a great intimacy and partnership between human life and the universal source. God doesn't just walk among humans, God is human. God doesn't just shape human life, but is subject to that shaping. God is not residing in some celestial heaven. God abides here, fully present with us, in us. The story of God becoming human lifts up God's immanence instead of an untouchable transcendence that occasionally comes over us in a great and rare sacred shiver. This story says that the Holy knows human life intimately, that the universe knows what it means to want what you cannot have, and also the pleasure of getting everything you hoped for and more. Strong Mother God, working night and day. This story says the spirit of life gets why you're losing your temper and knows how much you long to be forgiven. It says that the ultimate knows what it is to be betrayed by those you love and also to die too soon, and to long for more life. Warm Father God, feeling all the strains of human living. This story says that life at its very essence understands when things fall apart, the helplessness of realizing there is no fixing this, and the reasons why you decide to show up and love anyway. Old, aching God, gray with endless care. There is something deeply comforting and consoling about imagining the vast infinite, this present, this aging body, this stumbling spirit, this doubting, suffering, hopeful, imperfect person, that every boring, embarrassing, gorgeous corner of our lives, every melting glacier and bullied child, every relapsing addict and terrified soldier, all of it and all of us is known and held in divinity, known entirely by the infinite universe. We speak about an infinite love that will not let us go, a love that has not broken faith with us and never will. This is the promise of this story. Emmanuel, God with us. Philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said that this was the real scandal of this story, not what it implies about the divine, but what it says about humans and how much we are loved. This infinite, unconditional love is too much for us. It's an embarrassment of love, an unfathomable abundance, a scandal. We should have to earn love like that, we think. Only some could deserve love like that. Not everyone. Only some parts of ourselves should be loved like that. Not all the parts. Not the pimply parts. The coexistence of God with flesh, however, refuses such a division. All are worthy, all are loved. Every part of you is worthy, every part of you is known, accepted, and loved. It is a problem, however, that this story comes to us with God as man. Let's be honest. David Bumbaugh's winking response that God could learn more about limitations by becoming a man, and also Satan's question about whether or not God has fallen victim to sexist assumptions. Pretty smart, okay. Some say that the story wouldn't have had the lasting power if it had been focused on a woman who was fully human, fully divine. Others say that the transgressions of a woman in the first century of Palestine would not have held as much social and political power as they did for a man. It had to be a story about a man. All of these are good ways to think about the fact that this culture-shaping story centers on God becoming a man. But it's still a problem, because they can't overcome the inevitable conclusions that, as feminist theologian Mary Daly put it, if God is male, then the male is God. With that said, focusing too much on Jesus' identity overemphasizes the humanity in the story over the divinity. The point that neither is more present than the other. They are equally coexistent. Which means, as I keep saying about our signs, apparently they have an issue with signs in Fort Collins, just like everyone does. The particular expression does not necessarily limit the infinite reality it points to, but just gives it tangible expression. which is one of the many reasons I love the artists who toy with how they portray Jesus, willingly offering a Jesus who presents as female, Hispanic, disabled, or even Caucasian. These portrayals remind us that the particular embodiment should not be confused with a permanent limitation. Despite all this talk of scandal, it was not new or radical to imagine that God is changed or changeable, or even that the source of that change is human interaction. Much of the Hebrew scriptures tell stories of God learning, messing up, trying again, and as the hymn goes, being changed by what God started. The new part of this story is the body. It was the fact that God had a body, the story goes, that changed everything for humans and for God from then on, which I think makes sense. It reminds me of a poem I have read at memorials from Dorothy Monroe. It goes, "Death is not too high a price to pay for having lived. Mountains never die, nor do the seas or rocks or endless sky. They stay eternal, deathless, yet they never live. If choice there were, I would not hesitate to choose mortality. Whatever fate demanded in return for life, I'd give. For never to have seen the fertile plains, nor heard the winds, nor felt the warm sun on sands beside the salty sea, nor touched the hands of those I love. Without these, all the gains of timelessness would not be worth one day of living and of loving." We idealize the possibility of immortality, omniscience, omnipotence, but there is something particularly beautiful and transformative about our simple, limited, vulnerable human life. Once God had a body, the idea of living forever like the rocks and the sky, of remaining at a distance from everything and everyone, it just wouldn't have had the same appeal. We so often curse our unknowing, imperfect existence. But when you think about it, how beautiful this stumbling and sometimes surrender can be. You too might understand how it might persuade divinity to abide with us forever. Unitarian Universalist minister Galen Gungerich says that in our world today, each of us are the face of God in this world and God's voice and hands. And so it may be true that there is no all-knowing, all-controlling force, but rather God is that which is present in all, the presence which remains, that abides, that presence that chooses to stay within and among humankind, and that power that knows how to love, that presence that loves abundantly, scandalously. Such an idea would mean that we are all the saviors of the world, or we could be, which is terrifying, especially right now, but only scandalous if we fail to take our responsibility seriously, if we fail to see in every person a possible partner, an image of God. And so in this dark time, let us pray by way of persistent kindness, worship through a practice of relentless compassion, and restore our beloved creation and ourselves through the tender task of seeing one another in all our humanity, holy and abundantly loved. Let us rise in body or spirit and sing together hymn number 180, Alhamdulillah. Our closing words today are entitled Crystal of Creation by Reverend Tess Baumberger. If there is a heaven, it is right here, right now, in this particular arrangement of nature, this happening of earth, moon, and star, this constellation of instants, this laden moment, this flash of recognition, this particle of time. If there is a God, it is all around us, everywhere, in every blinking eye, in every pulsing possibility, in every ugliness, every beauty, in every wholeness, every part. If there is an axiom in the universe, it is life, it is love, it is death, it is hatred, it is wanting and needing to be in this crystal of creation.
That's it, huh? Okay. Well, we have a closing song. The words will be up here, One of Us by Joan Osborne. If you know it, sing it, and we're going to do our best to share it with you anyway.
If
God had a name, what would it be? And would you call it to his face? little cup on the end. We extinguish this chalice,
but not the light of truth, the wonderful love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out
into the world. I seem to be developing a new mantra these days. And it goes something like this. All the while, silence remains undisturbed, as does truth, beauty, love, and peace, always undisturbed. Remember, you are loved. You are worthy. And
You are a blessing.
Never heard that song in church.